Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show here on this radio station, as well as youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. A man who's been telling me, you got to put your show on YouTube. Why are you on YouTube? You got to do it on YouTube, just like the Pat McAfee Show that's live every single day, Friday from 10 to noon Eastern Time. And then his podcast, the Pat McAfee Show 2.0. Pat McAfee back here on the show. Here on YouTube. Look at us, Pat. Look at us chatting in many different ways now. Look at us.
It's great to be in the future here, isn't it? I mean, you have been a guy that has set the tone in this industry for a long time, and now you are setting the tone for the next generation of broadcasters who want to create their own shows, put it on YouTube, not worry about gatekeepers telling you what's good and what isn't good. I love what you're doing, and I'm excited to continue to watch you every single day.
Brother, you're the best. I enjoyed being on your show the other day where me and you and Ryan Leaf on the couch. And, you know, how about Leaf telling that story about what did he say that somebody reached out to him about the Chargers? Didn't he say that somebody reached out to him about, or his dad, about the Chargers before they drafted somebody?
He said Archie Manning.
Right.
Archie Manning reached out to his dad about how did the Chargers organization treat your boy. And I think Ryan Leaf, he has owned everything that he has done wrong in his life, especially with the Chargers. He's owned it. And I think his dad thought there wasn't enough support potentially at the time from the Chargers organization. And I think he told that to Archie. And then when he spilled that information to us, we were both like, wait a minute, that might be a pretty large part of Eli not wanting to be a Charger.
We looked at each other. We shot this. Look, Chris, this was amazing. Ryan Leaf telling the story that when Eli was going through whether or not to be drafted by the Chargers, Archie Manning called his dad, Ryan Leaf's dad, to kick the tires on how.
And said, hey, how's San Diego?
Yeah, how did San Diego treat your son?
Wow.
And lo and behold, Eli's a Giant.
And that was a big deal. That was before the social media. If that was to happen now, right, which people were alluding to potentially happening, with social media, that would be the biggest thing on earth. I mean, it was covered, obviously, but that conversation with Ryan Leaf's dad from Archie could have been a little bit of a part of that. And that would be a massive little piece to the link if that was to happen in today's world.
Pat McAfee here on the Rich Eisen Show, also on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Pat welcoming us to the YouTube world, as his show is on every single day. You check out his channel right here on YouTube, as well as any of the radio stations that might be near you. Hey, did you hear the news out of New York, the New York Post reporting that ESPN's making a play for Peyton Manning to join Al Michaels in the booth? Did you hear about that?
Yeah, we just retweeted Andrew Marchand from the Post. He tweeted this morning a little teaser that he had big news coming this afternoon in a column, and then in a series of tweets he kind of unloaded that information. And you got to think, Mike Tirico is still on the NBC Sports roster. My boys and I were talking about it. That is a potential move that would be insane, but also Al Michaels and Peyton Manning in a booth together would be something I would want to listen to and watch on a regular basis. And if you move Tirico up with Collinsworth, it seems like a win-win, but boy, that is some high-level conversations that have to happen between networks to kind of do that exchange. There. I would assume the money, especially when you see what Tony Romo's making, I mean, that's a big money move, I'd assume. And I love Al Michaels. I hope he calls games forever. And hearing him with Manning would be awesome.
Do you think Peyton wants to do it, right, but only with the right person, essentially?
I would assume, and obviously Peyton and I are not in constant contact. We are not. But I would assume that they might have asked Peyton, who are some people you wouldn't mind working with or people that you revere, and he probably said, I like Al Michaels. And I don't even know if Peyton was saying that would be the only person he worked with, but I'm assuming he said it. So now ESPN's like, we've tried Peyton before. He said no. People say it's because he doesn't want to criticize Eli and stuff like that. That's out the window now. What if we get a guy that he likes, get him in there? And I think the world would be excited to hear Peyton every single Monday night.
Pat McAfee here on the Rich Eisen Show. So supposedly the collective bargaining agreement has been hashed out between the lawyers, the final language of the NFL and the NFLPA, and have sent it on to the players writ large, the whole group of players in the NFL. You were in the league the last time this went around. How will a 430-page document land in the inbox of players? What do you got for me on how's that gonna hit, Pat?
I was talking to Kyle Rudolph this morning on my show, and I obviously asked him if he pushed off against the Saints. Had to talk about
and
that.
What did he say? What did he say? First, let's take one at a time here. What did he say to that?
He said, I did not push off at all. My arm was at a full, basically at stiff. So there's no push off at all. He just was keeping him away and trying to feel where he was at. He didn't push him at all. I was like, well, it kind of looks very similar to what happened with George Kittle in the Super Bowl. And that was called it was. And he was like, nope, that's not on me. They reviewed it and everything. So Kyle went to bat for his move and just saying that he didn't push off anything, which you have to respect. Great catch in the playoffs, win a game.
Look, Pat, if somebody's chest is going to get in the way of his hand, and, it's not his fault, right?
Well, how are you supposed to catch whenever somebody's covering you?
Please. I understand.
You got to get them off of you.
Right.
It just makes sense. But Kyle Rudolph, obviously, great personality, good speaker, and also Notre Dame educated, right?
Okay, yes.
So this is a guy who, pretty difficult school from what I've been told. I was never accepted to Notre Dame, but from what I've heard, it's a little bit difficult in the academic world. And I told him, I said, what the hell are you going to do with 450 pages, or whatever it is, 430 pages? Like, are you going to read that? He was like, well, I'm going to dive into it today. I'm like, if I was in the league right now, there is zero chance that I would read that, but I should. That is something that every player should read, but there's no way it's going to happen. And when that means is somebody's going to place a vote, and then somebody's going to ask them why. They're going to say no, and it's going to cause this entire conversation. But they're giving them a week, and I just don't see how anybody's going to get that done, let alone if that was a great story or something like that. 430 pages, that's more pages than I've ever read in my life. I just don't know how that's going to happen, but it's a big decision.
We were talking earlier, like, when was the last time any of us read something that was 430 pages long, let alone that there's fine print and formulas and stuff like that? So how is this going to go down, do you think? What do you think, Pat? You got an idea here?
Well, and there's also the legalities talk and a lot and percentages and revenue sharing. And, I mean, it's absolute insanity. So what's going to happen is, you're going to get guys that meet in groups. Maybe they take turns, each read a part and kind of summarize it, or you're going to get guys that listen to other people. And it's going to be a very interesting thing because there are two very different views on this thing in the NFL. I had Nate Solder on my show the other day, offensive tackle now for the Giants, formerly of the Patriots.
He likes it. He likes it, right?
He loves it.
Right.
He likes. He said obviously there's some drawbacks because in negotiations that happens, but he likes it. And then you hear the likes of Marquise Pouncey, who he does not like it. I mean, it's just it is very interesting to see how this all plays out, and they got a week to vote on it. And I think if you're a fan and if you're somebody that covers it, it's like, all right, a lot's about to happen here in our football world. Excited to see how because if it goes to 17 games, Rich, not only do we get more football, we get more playoffs, but what happens with all the records pre the 17 games? I mean, there's a lot of stuff to be unfolded here.
Pat McAfee right here on the Rich Eisen Show. How did the news that Dion was talking about on Sunday on NFL Network during our Combine coverage that it's not news, but I mean, it's now becoming news, just the idea that Brady might wind up a 49er. How'd that one hit you?
Oh, that's awesome. Isn't it? Isn't that just awesome? Like, that's a real conversation that's happening right now in 2020.
Right.
We are potentially thinking about the greatest quarterback of all time going to his hometown team for 2 to 3 years, and that hometown team trading back to the genius that is Bill Belichick, his project, his baby, the guy that he allegedly wanted all along. I mean, it feels like a win-win for both sides, but John Lynch just said last week that he's committed to Jimmy G, is nowhere near his ceiling and all that, and I understand in sports there's a lot of lying about stuff, but man, I think the 49ers probably win a Super Bowl next year if they get Tom Brady, and the Patriots, especially if Antonio Brown's people aren't lying about Tom Brady and Antonio Brown being in contact with each other and bringing him along, because if you lose Emmanuel Sanders, you get Antonio Brown in there. And the Patriots, Josh McDaniels gets a guy back in his scheme that already knows it. You get a guy who's already a proven winner, and the Patriots are going to be good for another 20 years. I mean, it seems like that could potentially happen, but in the end of the day, I feel like there's a lot of smoke going on. So
let's just say it does. This is real, right? And the agent represents both Brady and Garoppolo, Don Yee. Do you, as the client, just come straight through the front door and say this is going to be a tough one for you, or you just say it and just say make it happen? How do you do that? If you're Tom Brady, you call up the agent.
If you're Tom Brady, or if you're Jimmy G?
No, if you're the Tom Brady and you're like, hey, I know we went down this road before, but I want to do it again. But this time I want his job. Not get him out. Could you? I mean, seriously, how do you lay that one out to your representative? Right? I mean, that just.
All right. So, Mr. Yee, this is what I'm thinking. you know how there was all that conversation about me getting shipped out of town and Jimmy G getting a starting job and all that stuff, and we agreed to send him to San Francisco instead of me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I want to do the same exact thing, but send his ass to New England, and I'll go over to that conversation. Tom Brady right now, though.
Right.
I think he's about fed up with the amount of talk about it, but he also he fans the flame on a regular occasion, and it's just like there's nonstop conversation about this until wherever he goes, and then the conversation is going to be like, well, how did we get here? What happened to this room? It's just this is so awesome for the NFL. I hope it happens every single offseason.
That's right, no doubt. A few minutes left with Pat McAfee here on the Rich Eisen Show. When I saw you, and I was on your show last Friday in Indianapolis, you said you had just accepted an invitation from the New Orleans Pelicans to go to New Orleans and introduce the team against the Los Angeles Lakers in front of everybody in the Smoothie King. You crushed it, Pat. You went out and you absolutely crushed it. For my viewing audience here on YouTube and listening audience, can you walk us through how that started and the approach you took to introducing the New Orleans Pelicans and Zion Williamson, please?
Well, first of all, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You were there, I think, for the groundwork of that whole thing
to
come to fruition. You kind of got to see how this, and I don't want to call it an office, but this area that we spend our time in every single day kind of works. An idea gets thrown out, and then we kind of we're like, all right, should we do this? Should go do this? Let's go try to kill it. Let's make a vlog about it and see how it goes. So I was happy you were there because obviously you're a legend in a building, and you were the one that told me maybe do a long Zion instead of a long Williamson.
Right.
And you know what? If you watched, by the way, I tried to hang that Zion as long as I possibly could. I've taken a lot of vitamins, but I tried my best to hang that thing. So I appreciate you for that.
Well, you know what? Because, again, I knew that you were going to introduce Zion. That's the whole reason why you were going, is you had a problem with the way that the Pelicans were doing it. And then they're essentially said, if you don't like the way it's done, how about you go to Whirl, right? And then you went down and did it. That's essentially how it went down?
Yeah, the opening night of Zion, it was a Wednesday night on ESPN at 10 o'clock. I mean, everybody was looking forward to watching the game, and everybody was watching strictly for Zion. And then they cut back to his intros, his first time getting introduced as a starter in the NBA, and I saw that they introduced him second. And I was like, second? Like, this dude is the future. This dude is the guy, and we're introducing him second. Like, how do you even ask another player to go after that? Like, that's a very interesting. So I sent out a tweet about that. Then, bang, they responded. They said, do you think you can do better? I was like, absolutely, let's do this. And by the way, they were so hospitable, so nice. The fact that they gave me that opportunity is just ridiculously nice from the Pelicans organization. But I still had to introduce Zion second, and that was
Did you really? I mean, that's right. Okay, so what? So you couldn't reconfigure the order, the manner in which you wanted? Like,
you should have seen when I walked in there for rehearsal because they wanted to get there was a lot of people, by the way, in that Pelicans organization who were not sold on me doing these introductions. The social media guy was the guy basically pushing for this, I think. His name is Alex. He's a good dude. He was pushing hard for it. So they wanted me to do a rehearsal, and they hand me the notes, you know, the list, the order, the school, the number, everything. And I see Zion second on there, and I'm like, yes, I'm not introducing him second, right? And they're like, yeah, you kind of have to with the way our videos are set up and everything. I'm like, well, that's why I'm here, though, because they're like, yeah, you have to. We don't want to put too much on him. He's 19 years. They, like, made me feel bad about it. And I was like, okay, hey, I'll do whatever the hell you want me to do. Just let me go ahead and go out here and yell a little bit. So I had to go second, but we did have quite a give and take about it, and I lost the battle. Bad.
Yeah, okay. So who did go after Zion? That was the whole point of you going down there, was to do him last, because that's your point, is that he's Zion Williamson. He's the last one to go, right? Come on.
Yeah. So Derek Favors, Mr. Favors went third directly after Zion, and I didn't know him that well, so it wasn't my best intro, but then Lonzo Ball was fourth.
Right. And I loved your intro for him. Your intro for him was laugh out loud hilarious.
Thank you. If I was to set it up, I would have went Lonzo Ball first.
Right.
Then hit a couple in the middle, Drew Holiday, then Zion Williamson.
Right.
But the team was so cool about it, and I was very lucky to be a part of it. But, boy, the internet enjoyed it. And it seems as if I didn't burn any bridges, which is good news.
Certainly, since as you are reporting here on the Rich Eisen show, you are not the consensus choice of the Pelicans organization. And you just went there.
They were not all in.
See, I told Pat when I was there and he's doing this, I'm like, you've got to, like, how are you going to do it with Zion? Are you going to drag out the Zion or the Williamson? Like, no, it's got to be Zion. Let that thing go.
Totally.
Like
it was good.
Ready to rumble.
Way, I would have never done that. I would have gone. Yeah. I would have gone heavy on the Williamson instead of the Zion. And really, he's a guy that likes Tiger.
One name athlete.
LeBron.
Yeah.
Only need one name. So what you said was very accurate. I have to go hard on that first name.
That's the one, man.
Because it's a great name.
It's next level. You know, I just got to be honest with you. I thought it was next level suggestion for you, but that was so funny. It
was additive.
It was as you are, sir. Hey, man, I love doing your show. Love seeing your operation. It's first rate, man. It's first rate. You and everybody there should be very, very, very happy and proud of what you're building over there in Indianapolis, pal.
Well, we appreciate that. You know, we got a lot of guys over here that work hard. Most of these guys quit their jobs whenever I quit mine as well. So, I mean, we've invested a lot. We're lucky to do it. We enjoy the hell out of it. And I am so happy for you and your boys over there and your group over there.
Thanks, pal.
To make this transition to the YouTube. You're going to start owning it, man. You're going to do very well, and it's awesome to watch you.
All right, Patrick. You take care of yourself.
I will say, though, none of my guys would get the birthplace of the guest wrong because we do a lot of research. So Brock is going to have to pick it up. I mean, that's
honestly, Pat, if you could guess where I'm born, I mean, whatever you want, name it.
No, but he's not. But he would say he would have it researched properly if it was his job for the guest. I think he is. I think he is appropriately busting your stones right now.
Wow,
this is an appropriate stone.
I'm just saying, my guys would be running sprints out on the basketball court if that was to happen. You know, it's Bob Knight type operation.
Well, I mean, it is Indiana, right? I mean, you're in the state of Indiana, so.
I appreciate you guys for having me on, man.
Right back at you, Pat. You're the best. We'll chat soon. That's you got it. That's Pat McAfee. His show live every single day. Weekday, 10 to noon Eastern time, and then check out his pod.